Okay, so let's talk about now how to become a QA engineer. I created a mind map with 6 target points, and it is an overview about the software testing area. Okay, so you can see here that I just have pointed the QA engineer career path, the QA engineer skills, the QA engineer salary range, how to find a job as a QA engineer, education and training about QA engineering, and the requirements to how to become a QA engineer. Okay, so let's start here with the requirements. Okay, so let's go here and what are the requirements for becoming a QA engineering? So there are some things that you need to know, and I just listed 3 of them. The first one is programming languages. You need to understand about the programming languages. What is programming languages? About, for example, JavaScript, and for example, like Java, right? If you don't know these programming languages, if you don't understand what I'm just talking about, please search for Google or for search for the my channel. Maybe I will just record a video about it. Okay. And Python, for example. So the programming languages is just something. The first thing that you just need to understand. Why is that? Oh, there are some people that will talk about the manual testing where that you don't need to understand about the programming languages. But I'm gonna say to you that a QA engineer in the future, and what we have the most in the most companies that we are just that I'm just working with, or maybe I just make some interviews. We are say all the time. I can say all the time. They want to know about your coding skills, right? Because testing in some countries is different. They don't some positions don't need this skill about coding, but it's not some reality in these days. Okay, so please pay attention on this. You need to know about programming language. The first thing that you need to know. The second thing that you have to become a QA engineer is an analytical thinking. It's just attention to detail, right? All the time that you are gonna work on software, you have to have attention to detail to test everything that the functionality needs, right? For example, the business rules about that functionality and all the page, what the flows, what are the messages that needs to be popped on the screen, all the things related, for example, to that functionality, right? You have to be very attention to the details about it. And the second one thing about the analytical thinking is problem solving. You have problem solving skills. You need to uh, like the process of problem solving. In other words, you have to like to solve the problems of the others, right? If you like to solve problems, you are in a good path for to become a QA engineer and become and work all the in some positions of the engineering, software engineering, for example, the developer. The developer needs to like to solve problems, right? To become a developer. So it's just part of the fundamentals of becoming a developer. So the QA is not different. So you need to like problem solving, right? And the third one thing here is communication skills. The communication skills, okay, sorry. Communication skills here, you have to know about verbal and written communication. You have to know how to express your ideas, express the testing, express the put the description about how you just get that bug, how do you find that bug, how do you found that bug, for example, right? So you have to describe and step by step, and you have to be very good at this and verbal and talk about the things that you need to talk in the some for example some daily meeting, some meetings that you have to with the client, with the developers. You have to have that skill to just talk about clearly for the other for everyone. Okay, oh sorry, for everyone, not just only to you, but how people talk about that thing, right? The terms, the concepts, all the things you need to know how to develop these communication skills. And the other thing is the collaboration, right? The collaboration is just to have to be proactive, right? You want the best for the team and everyone involved. For example, the stakeholders. Okay, so that's it about the requirements to become a QA engineer. And let's talk about the career path here, right? What I can say about the career path. What are the different career paths available for you that to become a QA engineer? Just right. Here I just divided in two boxes, two boards here. Just in the board is of about management and technical. What I just divided here because of the Y career, right? You can go for the management in this area and you can be very successful. And the same with technical, you can be very successful too, right? So let's talk about the management. You can start here. Well, just a friendly reminder, right? Okay, okay. Career route here, right, can change depending on the company. It's not the sealed here, right? It's not written with blood, as they say. But this kind of thing here, these paths here, and we just find in the most of the companies, right? The management, and I'm talking about the management and talk about technical. So let's start here again. So you can start, for example, as a QA junior or a QA, for example, trainee in some countries or internships, right? Here you just a junior, you just start in the area, and then you are gonna go to the mid level. And this guy here is, we can say that the QA junior is a guy that is just learning all the things. They need all the things that they are gonna work. They sometimes they need help, right? And the most of the time they need help. And the QA mid level, they know how to solve things and know how to manage better the thing that they are working, and it's very very collaborative with the team. And you have in the next step is the next path is the QA senior. This guy here just know everything about the the teams, and ever know about the team, everything about the application, everything about the, for example, the functionalities that involved, all the things that related, that they know how to solve all the things and know how to train someone, and how know how to teach someone to do something, right? This guy here, you in some companies you can find these ones here, these three positions here, in manual and with automation, right? Working with code, and or working with both, uh, as manual and as automation, working with automation, right? Together. And then in here, after the QA senior, you have the test lead. So this guy here and up, the head QA and director in this management area, in this career of the management, the test lead here do not work with code. They just know how to lead teams and know how about the know how to lead with the processes, right? They know how to deal with people. Here, some in some companies they don't work with coding at all, right? They lead and they have, for example, the ability and the skills to work with more than one team. So here, and after the path, after the test lead, you have the head QA. And the head of QA in some companies, you are make the position that you lead a lot of teams, right? With leaders, with test leaders. You know how to deal with, for example, more than one teams. You know how to the processes, know what the executives. Maybe sometimes this guy here, the head QA, is an executive, and they have a bit of a, for example, some software development company, and they know all the things about that specific or particular product that the company sales, the company is selling, right? And this guy is very important for to maintain the quality of the all the things that the company deals with. Okay, and then after the head of QA, you have the QA director, for example, that is in is as is executive, right? Sorry, this guy here is an executive, and this guy here they sell, for example, they sell for the other companies why the QA is better for them, for the client, right? This guy here is just a product seller, right? He's a product seller for the companies, and they are very, very, very important. They this position, for example, you can find in the most of the fangs that now it's Mang companies, right? And Meta, and Amazon, and a lot of social media companies. You can find this guy here, the QA director, right? And let's talk about the technical here way. You just start as the management area. It's another leg, very simple, of the Y career, right? So technical here. QA junior, you can start as a QA junior. You work with codes, right? Sometimes you work with manual and codes together, and you have the same path here as the management at QA mid-level, but you are working with coding, right? This here just adds the coding. You work with manual and coding together, and then you work. You just go to the become. You become a QA senior. This guy here, in when you just follow this technical way of QA engineer as a QA engineer, the most of the time you have to have the same knowledge as a developer, right? So you start here as a, for example, a dev junior, a dev mid-level, and a dev QA. But the focus is different, right? The knowledge is the same. that that I would like to talk to you about it. The knowledge is the same, but the focus is different. The developer focus on creation, right? And they know everything about the creation and just update and delete all the things and manage that product, right? That thing that they are coding, and the testing have the same knowledge, but the focus is just on testing. In if you have to test if everything is okay, the code is okay. The code is, for example, like quote unquote beautiful. It's very good for it's very fast and do not have some problems with that code, right? This is just the focus of the QA engineer when you go to the technical way, okay? So this guy here, after this QA senior here, after this comment I just said, you become a QA architect. So this guy here work with a lot of teams, right? It's like some kind of a test lead. They know how to understand the project and more than one project, right? Of testing. So they architect all the testing. For example, it's this guy here. is working much more on the automation. Why, right? So with automation, this guy here is very demanding. And then you can go to become a technical QA lead. This guy here is just more focused. It's just a 50% focus on the processes and 50% focus on the code, right? The quality of the code, right? So they are just talk to they talk in some companies with the executives and talk with the teams, right? They have they someone some companies they have these both responsibilities, right? But this guy here is very technical too. So that's it about the career path, QA engineer career path. So let's go to the most interesting part. That is salary range. Well, I put here three points that you have to understand that the market itself that sells the the QA engineer, right? For the companies. So some companies we are more valuable than a developer. It's rare, but you can have this situation. And in some companies, the developer just earns more than a QA engineer. And in some companies, it is almost the same, right? But depending on the position, the manual test just is a position that earns less than the automation, the test automation, right? When you have the automation skills. So this is not just something that will impact the QA engineer salary, right? So it's sometimes it's locally based, right? So inside of this, within these other the things that I said to you, it is locally based the price, so you can you the money and the salary, right? So you have some you have to. I just have to show you here. I just want to show. Let me just show it to you right here now because it's gonna be easier for you to understand what I'm saying. For example, I just make a search at Glassdoor, and you can see here that just what I just made here is just to understand how much. What I want to know is just how much a junior QA engineer earns, right, for year. So the glass at Glassdoor, you can see here that a QA engineer can make 79, 79, 79 thousand or 80,000, right? $80,000 for year. You can make a conversion if you're not live if you don't live in a country that is dollar based, right? You can see that it's a very good salary, right? Maybe it's a very good salary, right? To start to become a QA engineer. So, but in some realities, in some countries, it's just less than this, right? You can just make this search here in your the search about QA engineer, how the QA engineer make for year in your country, right? And make the comparison here, and you see that in dollar is very good, right? Very good. Because I'm just saying about my country. I just live in Brazil, and this is just good for us here in Brazil. This salary here, right? Just good for us. So let's continue on the mind map here, and you have here locally based. Just make a comparison, as I said, right? And let's say here international but locally based, right? Well, you have here some tricky things, right? Because you can have, for example, a project that is international. You live in some country, and the project is just developed, and you can be hired by a company from another country. So it's international, but they have some make some research on your, for example, your country, and they know that a developer or a junior like you, they know that you just earn in some range, right? Some special range. So they just have just put some addition, right, on that on that range that they know that QA junior earns in your country, just for you to understand that, oh, you are working with an international project and you're just earning more than the range that they pay for you in your country. So they just make you just sometimes you just accept to work like this because you were working with international company and it is gonna be good for your portfolio, right? And that's it. What else here? Well, this third uh, uh, point here, necessary ones for the companies. This guy here, for example, this person here, when the person is just necessary for the company, they are not going to gonna be earn the same as this guy here that work with international company, but the salary range is locally based. No, this guy here, for example, if he just have to earn $80,000 a year, okay, so the company will pay because it is just a necessary one for that company, right? That developer is very necessary for that company, so they are gonna pay you not locally based, but based on the, for example, the dollar. This is gonna be dollar based, right? So they will make an effort to pay that guy that is just it's just a foreigner, but he just earns the same money as if he just working in United States, for example, right? He would just are from Finland, but he just that sometimes he just can be work with international project in the United States and just earn money locally based, right? But this guy, for example, if it's just very necessary for the company, he can just live in Finland, and earn as he just live in the United States. Just get all the, the compensation, right? All the compensation. So this guy here, so we have this salary range about the QA engineer. Based on the Glassdoor, I'm gonna put the link on the video, right, in the video description. You can see, and you can make a conversion in your country to know how much the QA engineer junior is earning in your country or in your city, right? So that's it. Let's talk about now the QA engineer skills. So, okay, you can see here that a QA engineer skills. What is the question? What skills and knowledge do I need to become a QA engineer? I just listed here some things. Maybe you can be scared, but these are things that I just consider. If you know, not in the deep level, but you know the concept and all the things here about these points here, you can become a good. You can start to become a good QA engineer and maybe start working with some companies, right? With less gaps. Okay, so let's start here. What you need to understand for the first time. For the first thing that you need to understand is testing concepts, right? What are these concepts? You have to understand what is a usability test, interface test, test, exploratory test, test plan, test cases, test suite, test execution, right? This concept about the test, you need to understand all of them to start working as a QA engineer. And the second thing is programming and scripting. This thing here, I just consider that you need to just make a step at the development, at the developer, as to become a developer, right? To start working with coding. So you need to understand to understand about data structures, algorithms, object-oriented programming, design pattern, and so on. Right? These things about the programming and scripting you need to understand not in a deep level, as I said before, but you need to understand the concepts and know how to apply them. So, okay. What is the third thing here? Is what are the most popular QA engineer testing tools? So we have here some tools that you can use in your daily activities. For example, work with some management tool to just record and create the test cases and to register some bug, right, for the development team to fix it. You have to know how to deal with some video recorder to record your tasks, right? What are the steps that you followed? Some image editing tool, for example, the Paint, for example, it's just a tool, image edit, because you have, for example, to highlight the problem for the development team and all the people when you just register a bug, okay? So that's it for now, right? I'm gonna make a video about the QA engineer tools. Um, you have to understand about version control system. So this version control system is more about coding, right? Coding and documentation if needed, but it's more about coding. For example, you are just working as a QA engineer and you are just for example, studying about Java and studying about JavaScript in some language and have to make some exercises and solve some challenges, you can just upload to these code repositories. That is GitHub, for example, and GitLab. You can use it, and you can use the both with no cost, right? You can use for free GitHub and GitLab, and you can just create your account there and create your repository and upload your code there. Okay. Other thing is about database and SQL. You have to have database skills. For example, in the at the first moment, at the first moment, I think you have to understand about CRUD. For example, to create something at the database, some data, some recording, to retrieve data, to get this data, to update the data, and to delete the data, that information, right? You have to understand that for the basics about database, you have to understand how to work with this kind of a script, right? And have to understand about some things about relationship between the tables, right? I think that is just very important. Reminding you, friendly reminder, again, you don't need to understand this in a deep level, right? But you need to understand the concepts. What else? Agile and Scrum. These are just agile methodologies. You have to understand the concept and the objectives of these methodologies, right? Agile, I understand about the Scrum, Kanban, Waterfall. To understand about not the waterfall is not an agile, but if you just understand about about the methodology of software development, the methodology and how to deal with this management, you are gonna be very successful at your tasks, right? Because you knowing, just understanding about the agile, for example, agile, you know how to apply it better at your self management, right? For the tasks. And for the last one, I just put it here, the DevOps skills. Well, this in some positions you have to understand about DevOps, right? because you have to understand about cloud computing and about continue integration, continue the delivery here, and know about AWS, that is Amazon Web, from Amazon, a solution from Amazon. You have to understand more about Azure, right? So these things here, I'm gonna make some video about them for you to understand better about the QA engineer, how to become a QA engineer. Okay, so let's go to the let's talk about here. Okay, let's talk about education and training. What is the question here? Do I need a degree to become a QA engineer? What I can say is just yes and no. But why? I'm gonna explain to you here better. Okay, so let's talk about the yes answer here. Why? It's just good for for a QA engineer to have a degree, right? Because if you have a degree in computer science or software engineering or some related field, it's gonna be it's gonna be much easier for you to start working in the field, right? Because you are having more contact at in some universities, or you have the contact with coding, in contact with testing all the time. So you are, for example, working your in your brain, in your mind, to be working with that all the time, right? So you are gonna be used with the terms, so it's gonna be easier for you to understand the things that the problem solving, or the things that the developer and the DevOps and the client and all the people they are just talking about. So it's gonna be good for you, right? And in some fields, in some not some fields, sorry, in some companies, it's no, it's just mandatory to have a degree. No, in some companies you need to have just to solve their problems, right? If you know how to solve the problem of them, so you are in heaven. If you know how to work with that technology, and is just very organized guy or a girl, depending, it's just organized person. It's just have a good self-management and know how to work with other people, and you have a collaboration, a good collaborator. You know how to work, and you're competent, very competent. You have a good chance to start becoming a good QA engineer. So because they don't, if you just prove to them that you know how to work with this, you are good for the position, right? Okay, here let's talk about the second thing here. That is the second question. What are the best online courses for the QA engineer? What is good for you, that a lot of courses, a lot of trainings that you are gonna find on internet is free, right? What is just the gap here? Sometimes some courses, some trainings are not so complete, or you sometimes find a teacher that is just very technical and don't know how to just transfer that knowledge for the student. They talk about very technical, and you know that the person, the teacher, knows what he's just talking about, but they cannot have the knowledge. They don't have the knowledge how to transmit, how to transfer that knowledge in a way that the student is gonna understand in an easy way, right? And that for this, sometimes it is just common to, when you have when you find free courses, free trainings. So you have, and for to just to fill this gap, you have the paid ones, because it is a pain of the market. They know, all the people, they know about it, right? The free Sometimes the free courses are good, but sometimes they're very hard to understand. And for this, you have the paid ones. Sometimes some tools, some platforms that sells courses, for example, Udemy. So you find there some training paid, and you find some training that are free. So what I just like, in my opinion, the good, the best, is just when you find for example, some teacher that sells his product or sells his courses, online courses, for example, or on site. I don't know, right? He sells his product individually, right? He just is a individual, just a teacher that sells his training, her or her training, right? Yeah, the person sells his training, have his own platform, and he knows what are the gaps, and because why it's just better, for my opinion, because they know, the expert knows that if he just uh, train you better, who are gonna be the most winner in this in this relationship is gonna be the teacher, right? Why is that? Because they are gonna put their best on the online courses, right? Sometimes they put out their best, and they know that putting their best, they are gonna be recognized, right? They like to be recognized, right? As a, for example, a senior one, or in that specific area, for example, they like to be recognized. Just good for them, right? To be recognized, and that's why they put a good effort to just deliver the best for the student. They just don't are not just looking for example, money. In some cases these training are very expensive, right? In some depending in the comparison that you, for example, if you are just comparing with Udemy, for example, right, that you can find there some cheap trainings, so cheap trainings, right, for the costs. And sometimes if you mix the comparison with an individual, for someone that sells his own product, it's just expensive, right? But when you just will check what this guy, in particular guy or particular girl, just are selling some courses, if you just make a comparison of what you are gonna learn, you see that it's different, right? Maybe you can see that in the individual is just more focused on the job, right? For example, they are gonna for example, let's work with Java here. If you, for example, have an individual person that is just on the teaching, for example, teaching you about Java, they are gonna, for example, not to focus on the for loop, but they are gonna focus on, for example, in the streams, and they are gonna explain you why. Because you are, for example, are gonna lead, gonna deal, gonna deal with a lot of data, right? So it's better for you to work, instead of working with for loop, work with streams, and you are gonna be more focused on the job, right? So that's why I just like this in particular. In my opinion, I just like the person that sells his own product, right? So not just answering this question here, is just what is best for you, right? If you just find that it is important for you, this kind of thing, or I'm just saying to you, okay. So if not, it's that okay too. Okay. So for example, what else more can I just can say here? Let's see. Oh, let's talk about to find a job. How to find a job as a QA engineer, right? How can I let's answer this first question here? How can I build a portfolio of my QA work. This thing here, I have a lot of things to say, but because when you are junior, sometimes you don't have a portfolio, but you can have in key, and yes, it's possible for you to just have a good portfolio as a junior and never work it with, right? So with that, specifically for example, in a company, right? But it's I'm gonna teach you in another video. But for this thing here, for this video, because it's just basics, right? Just for you to understand how to become a QA engineer, how can build your portfolio is you can just get your information, all the things that you, for example, all the projects, that personal projects, right? You can just upload and put on the platforms, use the platforms, for example, LinkedIn or Indeed. You'll get your portfolio and just upload there, right? You can use the platforms. And the other thing that you need to do is to work. Oh, it's just right. It's just not right here. Let me just update. Here. What you can do is just a resume, right? A QA engineer resume. You can just use in the format of PDF, just listing there your education, your experience, the languages that you speak, for example, and your objectives, right? And the other thing is just have your code repositories. The code repository is just what I just talked to you here, and when I just talk about the version control system here, right? The control system here is just a code repository. Just you have to have, it's just good for you to have a code repository like GitHub or GitLab, as I said, right? Because the technical, for example, the technical interviewer, you're a technical interviewer, they, for example, would like to understand how do you solve problems, what are the things that you know, so how to prove for them this kind of thing using code repositories, right? So this is just good for you to have. Another thing, another question here. What are some common QA interview questions? It's just when you have job openings talking about. This is just some gap that we have in in our niche, right, of testing. So if you just search for this term here, QA interview questions, here on YouTube or in Google or depending on the browser or the site that you are just searching, you make your searchings, you can see that you are gonna find a lot of preparation of the. It's just good to have a preparation and have a training. You see that is very good for you to understand what are the questions that most interviewers are questioning, are asking for the as a QA engineer, right? What you have to search for some preparation too, right? Because it's just very good for you to, for example, when they just call or invite you to some interview, you know how to answer that questions, right? It's just very good for you. If possible, if you have some, for example, have money for this, you can take a training about the interview questions. If it's just for you, if it's just possible for you, it is. I just recommend you to do it, right? So what else? I think that's it, guys. I think that I just talked about the six points here of my mind map here about how to become a QA engineer. Just for you, if you want to know more things about it, I am gonna uh, start working with some videos about it, and you are gonna find it on my web in my channel here in YouTube. Okay, so that's it for now. My name is Ricardo, and that's my contribution. Bye bye.